Hello, everybody, and welcome to another installment of Aftermath Hours, the weekly podcast of Aftermath.site, a worker-owned, reader-supported website about video games, the internet, and everything that comes after. Aftermath is for the moment fully reader-supported, so if you like what you hear, you can subscribe on our website. There's a big button for it. Or if you don't have money right now, we'd really appreciate it if you could leave a review of the show on Apple, Spotify, or wherever else you listen to podcasts. Also, if you don't have money, great timing because we're having a sale at the moment as part of Woke Week, the event that we are putting on this week, dedicated to a range of stories about the concept of woke 2. So you should look into that if you haven't already. I am Nathan Grayson, and today, on a very special episode of the show, I'm joined by, well, first of all, Gita Jackson.
Hi, what's up? I'm Gita. That's who I am. I'm wearing my fucked up shirt, which I hope doesn't get us TOS on Twitch, but it's fine.
Yeah, people are saying they might always be Gita. It's entirely possible. And also, we have a special guest, Michael Hobbes of shows like If Books Could Kill and Maintenance Phase.
Gamer, famous gamer, Gaymer. I learned this term very recently, and I'm very excited about it.
Yes.
I once did a panel at a convention that is now no longer happening. It was Gay Gay Gamer X,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then this
Hell
was
yeah.
it ruled. It was so much fun, and then we went on a tour of the Winchester Mystery House, and we met someone. We met a clearly gay child that was giving this tour, and we tried so hard to convince him to come to the Gamer X convention, like when he was free, because we were like, "You specifically need this. This one is for you." It was great. He was walking us into the rooms in the Winchester Mystery House, doing like death drops, and I was like, "Why?
yeah.
Why are you doing this, underemployed gay teenager? I love you for it."
I feel like it's not officially woke 2 until it's games done quick. Gay,
Wow.
G-A-Y-M-E-S.
I mean,
Yeah,
they are
they-
getting there. I think that's their
That's
ultimate
true.
goal
That's
now.
actually.
Yeah, that's the gay agenda.
Officially,
That's the real
yeah.
one.
Okay, I didn't know this about you, Michael Hobbs, but are you passionate about speedrunning? I listen to both
I
of your
mean,
podcasts.
okay, the thing is, I'm passionate about it in the sense that I like really like it, but I'm a member of the very interested in video games but very bad at video games community. And like I demand representation because I feel like most people are probably bad at video games, but most like video game content is created by people who are very good at video games.
Yes.
Yes.
And so the fact that there are now so many more video games for like people who suck ass at video games is like the best thing to happen to my adulthood in decades. It's like so good. So like I'm very interested in them because I don't know if you guys are like this, but in the Trump 2 era, I crave like low stakes drama. Like
Yep.
Oh my god,
people fighting about shit that
yes.
Yep.
does not matter. And it's like,
I love
oh
that.
shit, this guy is cheating at like a speed run. I'm like, I'm in. I'm watching 2
Okay.
hours
Yeah.
of the
You got
video.
to read
I
all
will
the
get
documents.
exactly. I'll open the PDFs. I'll open a bunch of tabs. It's great because it doesn't
Okay.
matter, but it's also like feeds my need for drama.
Yeah.
Can I introduce you to a low stakes drama thing that I introduced my husband to
Ooh,
last
ooh, ooh.
night? It's on the site. It's Street Fighter 6, a game I've never played and never will play.
Dude, I'm also a big Street Fighter 6 guy.
Okay,
Damn. Okay.
so
Perfect.
did you hear about Alex Street Fighter 6's new
Yes.
backstory? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, the
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
incest one.
So I've
Yeah.
The
heard
incest
different
one.
things, but he either fucked his stepsister or his cousin or
Okay.
something.
Here's what I want to tell you. It
Okay.
is both. It is
Okay.
both
Okay.
his adoptive stepsister that he
Uh,
raised from age 0, like
okay.
held her as a baby, and also it is revealed that actually they are related and they are second cousins.
But is this canon or I also
It
have
is
heard that this is like a mistranslation. It's
the thing that the developer has said is that
uh,
they are retranslating and rewriting a portion of this story because of confusion that has been caused.
quote
Uh,
confusion unquote. Yeah. Okay.
yes. I remember telling my husband this last night, and the face he made. Telling my husband things about my job sometimes is bewildering because he clearly has no
Yeah.
idea what the fuck I'm talking about.
Hmm.
And I don't know how to explain that whether or not this guy fucked his sister and his cousin is a matter of debate.
But But then one of my like Street Fighter 6 streamers who's like way deeper into this than I am, obviously, his whole thing was like, this is what you get for watching single player content in a fighting game. He's like, don't
Wow.
engage. Under no circumstances should you ever engage with the actual storylines. It's like the little sprites are fighting each other. That's all you need to know.
I mean, except for if it's Tekken, then you got to engage with the storyline because that series is bonkers.
Yeah,
Like
Tekken
it
is the
starts
best
out being the
story.
humble story of like a guy trying to get revenge, and then turns into shit about devil genes and people throwing each other into volcanoes.
Yeah.
Hell
They
yeah.
did a
Okay.
commercial for a recent Tekken game, summing up that lore, narrated by Brian Cox.
It's so good. This was around the time of Succession ending also. So they like
Yeah.
really, really knew that they had a golden advertising opportunity. And because Brian Cox will do anything for money. So
Yeah.
it worked out great.
Yeah, we should get him on the show. I'm sure that he's
I'm sure
affordable.
if they paid him a comparable to what McDonald's pays him, he'd love to be on.
Fellow gamer, Gaymer, Brian Cox. Yes.
Yes.
I love what she is. He's my favorite. I mean, he sucks, but he also rocks. Anyway,
Yeah.
thinking of things that used to suck and now rock, Nathan, you a huge feature that
I
almost
did,
killed you.
although I think before we go super far into that, I do want to first kind of go into woke 2 as a general concept.
Oh, brother.
Just
Now I have to
because
talk
that's
about my
something that
dumb
we
idea.
all, yeah. Well, I mean, you are here, and also I think it's just like,
Yeah.
the theme of the week. We may as well get into it a bit. So yeah, Gita, what is woke 2? In
What
just a
is woke
sentence.
too?
Yeah, just define it. It
God,
shouldn't be too hard.
shouldn't be too hard. I had to write a whole. I mean, you called my blog repeatedly a manifesto. And I want to emphasize that I think the most successful manifestos are not thought of as manifestos in their conception.
And also, this is woke 2, so it's a themifesto.
That's exactly the kind of joke we're not doing in Woke 2.
Once an episode, I threatened to throw Nathan out of a window. Today, that is this moment. You see that
Very
window?
good.
Just open it up. Here you go. But yeah, no, it's not a manifesto. I just had to sit down and think about like I used to be so Obama pilled, right? I went to fucking Oberlin College, like
Wait, literally in a literal
I
way.
literally went to Oberlin
Wow.
College, class of 12.
I've read
And
so many op-eds about you
I
by
know.
proxy. Yeah.
Listen, it was a normal
Mhm.
place. We just did a lot
Mhm.
of drugs. Uh, man, they did eliminate Safer Sex Night while I was at Oberlin College. Safer Sex Night is this legendary thing where the sex positive experimental college class, put on a big dance and fundraiser for their sexual health office, and it once included what was called the tent of consent, which was literally just a tent on a quad where two people could go in there and fuck. And yeah, that
Really?
yes, that was real.
Oh my
That
god.
Excellent.
was a real thing. Eventually, of course, the college shut this down because what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a crazy thing to do. But
Do you guys ever see something and you're like, no one tell Fox News about this? Like,
yes,
if the
yes.
right wing finds out about this will be like an 8-day story.
There is like some things, especially when you get to the cross section of Black and gay culture, where I'm just like, other people don't need to know. They just don't
Yeah.
need to know about this. We don't need to give them that ammo against us. I don't
Yeah.
want them to know. Yeah, the just there's so many other things about Oberlin College that are so crazy that nobody needs to know about that. Anyway, I went to Oberlin. I used to be super woke. I used to be a tech optimist. I used to really believe in the mission of Silicon Valley. I used to be all these things that were just the reality proved them as untenable and intangible ideas that were not helpful for people. And I think the idea of wokeness as it emerged in popular culture, it used to be just like a thing your weird uncle said at a barbecue if you're Black about, remember the Tuskegee experiments against Black people, stay woke, the government's out to get us, stay woke. My dad is the weird uncle in this case. So I feel like I can say that he is constantly sending people communist literature, which I think is
Hell yeah.
really cute. Yeah, I love my dad. But yeah, it used to just kind of be a reminder, like, hey, remember, like, the reality is not out to serve you. You should remember that there are forces that are trying to keep you down so that you understand what you're up against. And then it became on the internet primarily a way for people to signal to each other um, how much they know about oppression and how much more knowledgeable they are about oppression than other people. And I think to me, the nadir of all of this is Childish Gambino's music video for This Is America, which is like the song itself and the music video both really are just like, hey, look at this. It's like Ready Player One, but for theories of oppression, essentially. Uh, yes, the I think that at the time it came out, which was a couple years before the second round of Black Lives Matter protests, it was maybe necessary for more people to be confronted by that truth of like, yeah, for Black people living in America, we are kind of living in a playground of violence where we don't know who will be the victim of that violence at any time. And also, the police are killing us just rampantly with no consequence. But also, like, a lot of people, I think, kind of just stop there at the awareness and at the knowledge. And then they don't have any good models for, like, how do you take that into practice? How do you become a person that uses that knowledge well? And for me, woke too, it can't be about, I mean, mass movements are great, but in the state of the world that I find myself in right now in 2026, what I would want as a model for how to move forward with the knowledge that the world is deeply unfair and is built to uphold the power of very few people, um, is I would like to help my neighbors take in the groceries, right?
Hmm.
I would like to build real, actual communities with other people and make that the primary way that I build solidarity towards uh, creating a better world. You know,
Hmm.
there's a lot of things you could do. You could join DSA if you're in New York. You could volunteer somewhere that is meaningful to you. Lots of libraries need volunteers all the time. You could donate, you could protest, but I think the number one thing you have to do is not rest on your laurels, not worry too much about whether or not this is the right or most effective thing to do, but just do something good for people every day if you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's woke too. Woke too is just being a nice person and touching grass.
Wow, that's crazy. It'll never work. Why would somebody
It,
do that when they
I
can
mean,
instead be online and miserable?
I mean, for a great example of what you just were saying, Nathan, being hyper on and miserable, Michael Ian Black has now written 2 different blog posts about how it's unfair for people to judge him for wanting to see the new Harry Potter show. That is woke
Ah.
Oh,
one
Yeah,
in a
actually,
nutshell.
what a week for us to do woke week, considering that like yeah, the new Harry Potter trailer came out.
God,
There's tons of discourse obviously around like yeah, if you watch this, you are supporting J.K. Rowling, putting money directly into her pocket,
yeah,
which means that she can go after trans people even more than she already has, and she's funneled a lot of money into that already.
yeah.
Um, yeah. Um,
You can't even like lead a hate group anymore without like people criticizing you on the internet. It's like really how far we've fallen.
Yeah. Um, but no, because also there was a post that you shared earlier this week, Michael, that was about kind of, or rather, there was an Atlantic post that you were sort of taking apart that I think was instructive because it's like kind of parallel to all of this, you have, various centrist pundits trying to like diagnose the ills of woke one. It's like, oh, this is where it went wrong or whatever. And this piece just seemed so incredibly wrong-headed. The one about like Lindy West and the
Yeah, there's
death of
been all this
millennial
discourse
feminism.
about Lindy West's memoir, which the funny thing about it is like progressives don't even like it that much, but it seems
Hmm.
like there's all this like centrist stuff about how like progressives love Lindy West and here's why she's bad. And it seems, I feel like, I don't know, it seems like the mistake. Well, I don't know, I think it's a mistake to frame like woke people as like the problem with woke one, I feel like, because
Mhm.
I don't think we're ever going to have a world where nobody on the left is annoying online. I think like I would love that to be the case, but like we're talking about tens of millions of people and like there will always be Oberlin sophomores. Like someone will be 19 at any given moment in time. And someone who is 19 will always be saying something stupid, the same way that I said things that were stupid when I was 19. And I think there's this like what explains the sort of to the extent there was a like rise and fall of wokeness, what explains it is like a bad faith right wing media machine that is
Mhm.
designed to find the dumbest person saying the dumbest thing
Mm-hmm.
on the internet and saying, oh, this is what Kamala Harris thinks. This is what Democrats are. This is
Yes.
what, quote unquote, the left is, blah, 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 blah. And so everyone is sort of now falling all over themselves to be like, oh, we need to condemn this. We need to have like a Sister Soldier moment about like trans rights, blah, 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 or whatever. But like,
Roger.
we just live in a world where there are tens of millions of people posting online at all times. Someone is going to say some
Mhm.
stupid shit. And you just
Mm-hmm.
have to accept the fact that that is going to happen. And we need to have like a way of pushing back against these things
Yes.
rather than having like constant, like what the sort of reactionary centrist, like Atlantic people of the world seem to want is a constant, never ending Sister Soldier moment where every single Democratic politician is walking up to a microphone and saying like, we shouldn't have trans kids in sports. This
Yeah.
thing that somebody said on the internet yesterday was very dumb. And like, that isn't tenable. And that's also not good electoral strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just sort of like, I think, I would love a woke 2 in which nobody says anything silly on the internet, but I don't think that's, I just don't think that's going to happen. I think
Yeah.
what we need to be good at is just being like, yeah, a random 19-year-old said a random thing,
Yes.
like
Yes.
said that a
Right.
meal at Oberlin was cultural appropriation. I don't care. That was one person. Who gives a shit? Why are we
Mhm.
talking about a random 19-year-old? We should be talking about, and then try to shift the conversation to something more important.
Okay, number one, that student at the Oberlin Review was completely correct about that meal, number one. But also, but this is like the big thing, right? Like the thing that wokeness turned into was arguing about who's the most woke online. And then
Right.
that turned into content farming for right-wing people online. And
Mm.
I think that it does us no favors to be getting in arguments. Let that 19-year-old fall on their face on their own. Like they're going to go through
Yeah.
the experience of being 19. They don't need us to back them up. That student at Oberlin like was a foreign exchange student that saw Chinese food on the menu at the dining hall and saw and like was received like brown rice with sweet and sour sauce. And they were upset
Yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
yeah.
They
Mhm.
got let them write an op-ed about that. Who gives a fuck? Like
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
the whole thing about these constant op-eds about the college I went to was that like college is where you go to try on bad and stupid opinions. I did
Right. It's the
cocaine
whole
Yeah,
in
yeah,
point.
college, like
Yeah.
that was a stupid thing to do. I'm not gonna do that again. like
and
Right.
also right-wing people, like, we don't have the same kind of freak out about, like, say, mega churches. Like, a mega
mhm.
church pastor also said something very stupid and evil last
Yeah,
week, but there aren't 15 articles about it. Like, there's
yeah,
Mhm.
the sort of the nut-picking impulse only happens on the left, right? And I'm happy to admit the fact that some people on the left are very annoying, but people on
Uh-huh.
the right are also annoying. And it feels like, okay, if we're gonna have a talk about, like, a societal talk about the fringe of the left and the right, then let's have a conversation about it, right? And I think if you
Well,
compare the left-wing fringe to the right-wing fringe, the right-wing fringe is objectively more dangerous, right? They're calling in
yeah,
bomb threats to children's
yeah, oh,
hospitals.
definitely.
And
Like
also
it's
if
not
you
even comparable.
yeah, it's
yeah.
not it's not close, right? If you actually sit down. And also if you compare the establishment, like the Republican elected officials versus Democratic elected officials, the Republicans are much more radicalized, are much more dangerous, are much less democratically
Mhm.
accountable. So it's like, what are we even really talking about here? If we're talking about the fringe or the center, they're both worse on the right. And that just seems like that should be kind of like front and center.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the reaction to the Drewski Erica Kirk video is already pretty telling. The perennial video game loser, the quartering, immediately said in response that George Floyd deserved it in response to a video making fun of a woman. And I think that like you can see the difference. Sorry, you can see the difference in scale here so strongly.
Mm,
Um, these people are advocating for straight up murder. This guy is making fun of a woman who's a little bit goofy.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I think
Right, right.
some I think it's like I think it's easy to conflate like things that are annoying and things that are dangerous. And I'm like
Yes.
I live in Seattle. I've met the most annoying left-wing people you can imagine. I'm happy to admit the fact that those people exist, but it's like who poses a danger, right? Who's doing the
Well,
mass
like
shootings, etc. It seems like an adult conversation would like take that into account. Like, yeah, it can be annoying to meet certain types of people
yeah,
out
well
in
this
public,
also
but
this absolutely goes back to everybody's 12 theory. Because yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
an adult conversation would do that, but we are not conversing like adults. That is not the
right.
default of conversation online.
Wait, is
No,
this
there's a
your
post.
theory, Nathan? Everyone is 12 theory?
Yeah, yeah, I definitely came up with that. I'm
Tell
the
me, tell
person
me
No.
more.
who.
What is your
Yeah.
tell me
Oh
more.
no, I'm talking about somebody who's much
It's
smarter on Blue
somebody's
Sky.
post. Yeah,
Um,
somebody's post essentially being like, you can understand the conservative reaction
Everything's
to certain
happening.
things by just saying in your mind that is a 12-year-old.
Yeah,
That's a
that
12-year-old's
everybody
opinion.
is being 12 years, or that everyone is 12 years old now. That's just how everyone treats each other and
We live in
acts.
hell. Yeah.
No, I saw like a corollary post the other day that did ring true to me, even while hypersimplifying things, where they were like, the last two important events that happened were Rebecca Black, because we all realized that we like hating people more than we like liking things, and then Cookie Clicker, because we all realized that we only need a number to go up in video games, and that's the only thing that any game needs to do. And
I
every
disagree with
event that
that
has
completely.
occurred since, every event that has occurred since has been a variation on those two things. And I was like, that's not true,
Right,
but it
but it's very funny.
feels true.
Yeah. I was actually going to ask you, because I know, Nathan, you used to write for Kotaku,
Yeah,
and you're a
we both
person on the
did.
internet. Like,
Yeah.
have-
I also used to write for Kotaku. I was working
Yeah.
with
Did you? Okay.
Nathan. Yeah, we were both there at the
Would-
same time.
were
Yep.
you guys ever featured on like Kotaku in action, or
Oh,
like,
of
Oh yeah.
course.
became?
Oh, they fucking
Yeah.
hate me.
Did
Yeah.
Did
I
you
mean,
guys
they're
get like
also
a
the
wave of
Gamergate
emails?
subreddit, and
There's
my history being what it is. Yeah, lots of posts about me on that
What was
subreddit.
it like? What was it like? Could you
I mean,
notice that it
for
happened?
me,
You'd get like a wave of emails.
there is still an insane conspiracy theory about me that I have the ability to make or break people's careers, and this dates back to me being a freelancer for Paste Magazine, who is pretty much exclusively writing Rick and Morty recaps, and
Nice.
like it's really strange the power that gets ascribed to me. When a lot of the times people were posting about how evil and dangerous I was literally flat broke, like
Yeah,
drinking PBR tall boys mostly for the calories in my apartment alone. And the experience of knowing that there is like a secret other doppelganger version of you that lives in other people's heads
Yeah.
it will never be normal to me, and yet
Yeah.
it is something that I have to live with every day of my life.
There is
Oh,
this weird
yeah.
social construction of your enemies as powerful, and so you see them
Mhm.
talking about like random freelancers who get like $100 an article being discussed as if they're like some billionaire who's like pulling strings behind the scenes. It is like totally surreal.
Well, and also you see a lot of this in like YouTube circles, where even though a lot of YouTubers now have more reach, influence, and wealth than anyone in the press, they still need like an institution to rally against.
Yeah.
And so like websites and publications are very easy targets in that regard. Like,
Mm.
oh, whatever publication, often, especially in gaming circles, Kotaku, they're still the stand-in, despite, being, I would say, like a tenth of the size that they were in terms of
Yeah.
like overall reach,
Yeah.
a decade ago. But yeah, they're still like, Kotaku is doing this, they're doing that. We got to fight back. We like the
Yeah.
common gamers. And it's like, motherfucker, you are a multimillionaire who has
Yeah.
made a bunch of who's made your money off of a bunch of grifty videos. And you're talking about a writer who probably makes 60K per year
Yeah.
and like is barely getting by in New York because they're
Just
forced
say
to move here.
Asmongold. This is taking forever. Just say
Yeah.
Asmongold. We all know.
Okay, wait. I learned
I mean, you're
something
not
incredible.
wrong. You are super not wrong.
Okay, guess what the Chinese nicknames for this has been discovered because Ludwig is doing the tip to tip, like the videos have come out, and now he drove across China without a map and without knowing Chinese, essentially. And Chinese like social media people are now seeing the series for the first time. And I saw a great post translated from Chinese that discussed the American streamers that this Chinese person does know. Guess what they call XQC and Asmongold?
Oh boy. What do they call them?
Okay, they call XQC Skeleton Bro. And they
Hell yeah.
call Asmongold Big Cockroach American.
Yes.
That's
Ah,
better. Let's
man.
do that.
I love it when other languages just cut through all the bullshit.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
absolutely.
this is the essence of a person. It's
I'm
like,
switching my language on Chrome right now. Yes.
Yes, Big Cockroach American. That's who he is. That's what he's
Yeah.
known for internationally.
yeah.
What were you guys' takes that got featured on Kotaku in action? Do you guys remember?
Well, I mean, mine is really more a series of events that happened. I'm not sure if you know this about me, Michael, but I was kind of at the heart of Gamergate, technically.
Wait, were you? I didn't know this.
People forget
Yeah, so
this.
people do forget
because you're
this.
a man, basically.
Yeah.
That's the
Yep.
other reason.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I had the opportunity to be forgotten in this regard. No, so it all began, with like allegedly, a game developer sleeping with a games journalist to
Yeah.
get favorable coverage. I was the games journalist.
Wait, you were the guy?
Yep.
I wouldn't have gone on here if I'd known that you were sleeping with people to give them favorable coverage.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
really
wow.
that's
It's
my
really
understanding of
shitty
what
of you.
happened.
Wow. Yep. Yeah, of course.
Because wasn't it also that like there was actually no favorable coverage that anybody could point to?
Bingo.
It was
Yep.
like
Yeah. No, the moment that we turned that particular page, I was like, I can't write about this person again. That would be
Yep.
wrong. And
Yeah.
also, the only thing that I'd written about them before was like not a review of their game. It was simply a list of games that was like going to maybe come to Steam, and their game was on that list. There was no editorializing around it. There wasn't even an acknowledgement of it.
Yeah.
You're like an internet celebrity. You're like you're like a main character on Kotaku in Action.
I am.
Yeah.
That was the start of me realizing that like, because I was like not in gamer spaces at all at that time, and that was the beginning of me realizing that like people had an identity as gamers and
Hmm.
had this weird like chip on their shoulder about like I'm
Yes.
a gamer and I'm looked down upon in society, and also this weird thing about
Yeah.
like games journalists
Yeah.
aren't good at video games,
Okay.
which I think came from that like Cuphead tutorial or something. It's
Yeah, I
like
sure
Oh,
did.
brother. Okay,
this
so
I mean,
weird thing. Sorry, I'm like doing
let's
deep lore that you
let's
guys all
let's
know, but
hash
it's so
this
funny.
no,
out
no.
actually, because
Great.
I'm discovering that people completely don't know about this. And this is something that also I started writing about video games in like May of that year, and then
Mhm.
this happened in August of that year,
No
right?
way.
Like this is my introduction to what it is like to be femme presenting and writing about video games.
Yeah.
It is scary as hell, and it completely changed my life, and it completely changed my orientation to my work and how I
Mm.
see my work and what I how I present myself in my work on the internet. And I just think it's useful to remember that, like, yeah, this was like hugely traumatizing for basically everyone I know in my cohort. Like, it
It
sucked.
was insane. Yeah, it
It
was
sucked a
Yeah.
completely insane.
lot, and
Yeah.
it's also just like the thing that it comes down to, you read all these justifications for the level of intensity people had about this event, and what it really comes down to is, I think that your job is being a professional fan, and I would like to be a professional fan.
Yes.
Mm.
And
Yes.
there's just tons and tons of resentment baked into that, into this idea of
Yeah.
why do you get to do it when I don't? Especially because, and you were
Hmm.
talking about that kind of like, just gamers having this weird, I think, like grip on their identity and this insecurity around it. And that ties back into it as well. Is like, I did all this work in the gamer minds. I like, legitimized
Yeah.
our cause or whatever. But then you're up here, you like, some or some like East Coast liberal, and you get to
Mhm.
do the job that like I, worked my whole life for. It's that kind of a thing.
And you can
Yeah.
see how this leads into making fun of Oberlin students for writing op-eds in the school newspaper, right? It is about picking people and then creating a grievance-fueled movement against that person.
Yeah.
When people write, like, there wasn't any particular take about me that got featured on Kotaku in Action. It was like every time I wrote about race,
Mm.
people
Mm-hmm.
would be like, why are you bringing politics into it? The amount of times that I've had to explain functionally what a black woman is in regards to
Mm.
the game Overwatch has made me feel absolutely insane.
Yeah.
People have asked me, is Symmetra a black woman? No, Symmetra is Indian. Is the hacker girl a black woman? No, she's literally Mexican. Like, there were people that got so upset with me for saying something about a game they really loved was imperfect,
Mm.
and also for taking up space where they thought their opinion should be given the same space.
Right.
I went to school for creative writing and went to Oberlin, which has a very good creative writing program.
Mm.
I've studied writing for like 20 plus years of my life. I pretty much if I'm an RPG character, I put all my points into writing. There's no points in
Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
This is my destiny, being a writer, and I'm on the autism spectrum, so hyperfixation on video games kind of came with the
Mm.
package. There is no other career for me. Like, there's
Yeah.
nothing else I can do. I have a cinema studies degree, right?
Yeah.
What
You
the
went to
fuck?
Oberlin. This is it. This is it.
This is
You had
it.
to become a games
Absolutely.
journalist. That's
No,
it.
there's the idea that anyone could do this is just totally wrong, and people get really upset with you when you say that to them.
Well, I
Like,
also one thing from the outside that I also thought was so interesting too was like people couldn't just disagree and be like, oh yeah, I disagree with that take. Like I think the depiction of that woman in that video game was fine. People had to make it about something bigger, and they had to like
Right.
it was almost like an identity politics thing. As much as I hate that term, it was
mm,
sort of like you need to perceive yourself as having this aggrieved identity. Like I'm a victim, and it's like a lot of like straight white dudes in their early 20s couldn't point to any other identity, so they kind of made up this thing
yeah,
of gamers as an identity.
yeah,
That like, oh no, I'm aggrieved. The whole world looks down on me, which like I don't really think the world does. Like people make jokes or whatever, but like I don't know, it's not like structural discrimination or whatever. But
yeah,
then they couldn't just say it's like so funny because these guys, this cohort is so like, ooh, why won't they debate? Like we're free thinkers that want debate. But then there was like an opportunity for debate. And all they did was like go around the debate into like I watched a bunch of those like Anita Sarkeesian like takedown videos, and it was like she said this game came out in 2007, but it came out in 2009.
Hmm.
It's like, right, but like,
Yeah,
they're like,
yeah.
she's a mendacious fraud. And it was like, they
Well,
needed
Wow.
it to be about her being a bad journalist, as opposed to like, well, you just disagree with her, and you're
right.
more than welcome to
Yeah,
make a video
on
saying, I
merits.
disagree with her, and this is why. But it was
Yeah.
like, it had to be about her as like super evil, and like, she's
But
attacking
also,
me, a gamer.
right, it's this big persecution complex thing. And
Yeah.
I think part of that goes back to the fact that, early on in games' lives or in the industry's life, again, they are not taken as legitimate. There were also, legal efforts to get violent games banned in various
Yeah,
cases.
yeah, yeah.
And so there was this like, there's an underpinning of something vaguely legitimate there, but not
Mm.
really, because
Right.
we're still talking about ultimately a class of people who, many of them were white guys, probably from like middle class backgrounds at least. So they're doing okay.
Yeah, $1 billion
But it also
industries.
like,
Like, yeah.
yeah, it also harks back to another thing that the right often does, though, where like again they need to be persecuted on some level, even as like for example they occupy every major portion of government now. They
Right.
have all the
Yeah.
power, but they're
Yeah.
still like, oh, they're coming after us. They're trying to keep us down. We're gonna fight back.
Yeah, hence
Yeah,
the like oversized, really stupid reaction to Drewski making fun of Erica Kirk, right? It is the Christians are persecuted for their faith, but at a nationwide scale across
Right.
like all right wing ideologies.
And that's why
Uh,
we need to persecute Muslims. I feel like that's
yeah,
usually like the next
yeah,
chapter of it. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. And you know who's to blame for it? Though the Jews, which is
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
there we go. We're
Uh,
banned from Twitch now. That was fun.
well, no, they're not going to ban us for anti-Semitic speech. That
Yeah.
would never happen. God, it is interesting, and it's been pointed out before that Gamergate is kind of a test bed for a lot of these methodologies at scale. And I think
Hmm.
like just being on the receiving end of them and then seeing other people being on the receiving end of them, the playbook really has not changed very much. It's just that people wised up to it. I think the Charlie Kirk thing, uh, I think the generation younger than us is like too nihilistic for that to work on them.
Yeah. Well,
Well, also,
also,
do you
I think, I was just going to say, I think that this is maybe like a defining trait of woke too,
Hmm.
is that at least ideally it doesn't take the bait quite so readily. And of course, we still see like one thing that I noticed, especially this week with what happened to our dear friend and colleague Chris Person, is that woke one also still exists. Woke
Oh
one and woke
yeah.
two are kind of fighting each other.
wait, what happened with
And
Chris Person?
Oh, beautiful Chris Person, wonderful Chris Person.
he made a fairly innocuous post on Blue Sky that then drew out all of the like rad libs who were
Yeah,
super angry.
he
Here,
he
let
said
me.
Oh, okay.
something about turbo lib posters on the evidence that this is like a low predator environment. Blue Sky is that turbo lib posters are posting really stupid opinions. The phrasing
Okay.
was a little bit different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chris, you can come on if you want to just say what it is.
Yeah, special brief guest appearance.
Yeah.
But yeah, in any case, yeah, so he basically just implied that like if Blue Sky was a little bit more like hostile, then people would say less dumb shit. And
Okay.
then, basically got brigaded by every kind of like resistance mom on the website.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Hi, Chris.
Yeah.
Yes.
Here we go. Here we go. Actually, wait, this
There
is
we go.
great.
Here we go.
Michael,
Hi.
you want more low stakes drama in
So
your life.
so
Get
if
Wait,
you
ready.
I didn't know
guys
Chris was
Proceed.
Chris Person. Hi, Chris.
Oh, hey, what's up? No.
So many reveals on today's episode.
I'm recording audio as well. Look, the joke was I see a lot of extremely annoying liberal, like turbo lib opinions, and it's not just like brunch ass. It's just like it's stuff like I see so many like YIMBY people on there, and it's just fucking
Mhm.
annoying. It's not even a question of the housing of like policy or anything like that. It's just there's a sort of unified like kind of like Democrat lib area, and a lot of stuff is all I said was that like one, I said I don't actually think that more toxicity is the correct response. I said I don't think you should go back to Twitter toxicity, but like because there are no, it's like fucking New Zealand, because there are no organic predators here. You get a lot of stupid fucking animals, like the kakapo. You know what I mean? Like you get these like fucking birds that like only have mating calls and base frequencies and have to be saved by like a Kiwi rescue team, and it's like that's like not even a damning indictment of it. That's just me saying like, look, you see a lot of stuff fester because it's not indicative of like a relatively healthy ecosystem, which I think is pretty like normal and relative. And it ended up with Adam Sessler trying to fucking fight me?
No, wait, Michael, do you know who Adam
God,
Sessler is?
do you
Oh,
know who-
okay.
this
Further,
is becoming an
deeper
episode
lore.
of
Okay.
normal gossip,
Okay,
basically.
so Adam Sessler used to be a guy on a television network known as G4 TV, and
It was TV for gamers.
It was TV for gamers back when you could do a TV channel about that, and
Okay.
I,
since
like,
then,
he
Sponsored
was-
by G Fuel. Sponsored by G
I
Fuel.
am
obviously.
not. I'm not even joking. He was a mentor to me. I met up with him in San Francisco at one point. I have his phone number. Literally have his phone number.
Yeah.
He texted me and assured me that I belong in this industry and that I should be. We texted back and forth for many years. And something happened to him, and he has
Something broke
gotten
his brain. His
something
brain got
broke his
real
brain,
bad.
and he's so furious and so angry. This is not the first time I've seen him freak out at one of my friends. Also, he tried to start a harassment campaign against Maddie Myers, my close friend, for being anti-Zionist.
yeah, he got very activated by that specific strain of it. For me, the funniest thing about it was that he was like, "Hey man, why don't you fly out to San Francisco and we'll fucking
let's
roll
throw
down."
Let's
And I'm
fight.
like,
Wait, really?
Yeah, no, he,
Like,
he-
meet me in the back
Yes.
of like the Best Buy parking lot.
no, yeah, it's like,
Yes.
do you want to home? But it also kind of sounded like an invitation to like, it kind of sounded like a date a little bit, and also like it's like, homie, we are gonna go to the Golden Gate Bridge. We are gonna throw mats down in front of the beautiful John Muir Forest. You know what I mean? And it's like, and all I was being a little spicy, but it was kind of a fly trap, like fly pitcher style like post. But like it did become one of those things where I was like, if this place was just a little more, if there was a little bit more actual friction to what people thought of in these things, there would be like people wouldn't say like just really dumb shit a lot. And then everyone and
Basically,
then
bullying works. We need to do more.
no, I wasn't even suggesting bullying works. I'm saying in the absence of bullying, you just get a lot of stupid shit, which is different than saying bullying works, because obviously it does not. My attitude is that like Twitter and Blue Sky together, neither are complete. It's like the Dark Crystal, the Skeksis, and the other ones. It is like Goku. It is like in Dragon Ball when you have Piccolo and Kami, like they're two halves of the
Piccolo and
same
Nail.
person, and they both pine for each other on a subconscious level, and neither is complete without the other. And it is
Also,
like
I actually think that's like totally true, because it's like there's
beautiful.
the left wing id and the right wing id, right?
Yeah.
Blue Sky and Twitter. And if you go on Blue Sky, it's so fucking annoying. It's the most annoying thing.
it's
you've
not
ever done in
even
your
left wing;
fucking
it's
life.
fucking Democrat. You know what I mean? It's like that
Yeah.
exact
like-
it's not
but
even
then
like the far
also-
left. It is.
But then you go
mostly,
on
yeah, it's just
Twitter,
in
and like
slurs.
80% of the posts are like fucking Nazi posts. So
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I like how many articles about Blue Sky being bad if we had, and how many articles about Twitter being bad if we had.
Yeah,
It's
no,
like,
no. Objectively, it's the better site. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I'm tired of being. Some guy was like, I did cause somebody who, what was it? I'm not fighting this person, but he's Beijing Palmer, and he just got really like annoyed because they're like, oh, leftists, and he was just like, oh, they lack Bushido, and I was like, I don't. That's a weird way to put it. I've never
Bushido. Sorry, what?
he got really annoyed that he's just like, oh, they have no sauce, or they have no sauce. And this is the kind of shit you post when you like don't you just are a
You
foreign.
yourself are
You're
sauceless.
a foreign. You're a foreign. I don't want to
Right.
fight.
Sauce.
I don't. He seems
If
fine
you were
for the
spending
most
time
part. They
analyzing
seem fine.
this at all, you're sauceless.
But I literally
We
go
are
to.
all
I was like, that's
sauceless.
that is fair. I don't actually have any Bushido. I have never participated in a crossroads killing to test the sharpness of my blade. That is true. That is entirely fair.
But here's the thing, Chris practices Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so if you're gonna threaten him to a fight, you better be prepared to throw down.
I do
Wait,
know
do you
how-
actually?
Yeah, for like 18
does.
years.
So you should have met that guy in the Best Buy parking lot.
No,
Yeah,
he's
also,
not paying-
Adam
I mean, if
Sessler
he's
is,
paying the
like,
tickets,
he's
I
not
will.
large either. He's a little
He's
guy.
funny.
Yeah.
He already threatened to fight.
And I think most of his organs are decayed from decades of alcoholism.
I also
Yeah,
If
think
I
that
could fight, I would take everyone up on that offer. I'd be like, oh yeah, we'll
Absolutely.
meet and fight.
I feel really bad, but he does wear a trilby, and it's really he wears the hat from I Think You Should Leave. I think that's the thing that really bothers me about it. Is like if somebody wears the trilby from the sketch from I Think You Should Leave, where it's like it has like the shade protector in the back, and everyone's asking about his hat. Like that's what Adam Sessler wears all the time. And to be perfectly frank, like you don't get to say, come to San Francisco and I'll kick your ass. Like you're so if you're gonna do that, like be like, it has to be on like the fucking train or something. Like you got to be like,
You've
come to
basically-
Bed-Stuy. Then yeah, sure,
You've already
maybe.
beat his ass, basically.
Also,
That's
he's
the way
like
that it works.
geriatric, you know what I mean? And it was very funny because also he does this enough that Blue Sky has moderation has just tags everything as rude.
He's rude.
He's got the rude
Yeah,
tag
really?
on
every
him.
single post.
Yeah.
On every single
Yeah.
post, and because he's just got done enough unwell posting where the mods are like, we're just gonna assume this is not nice to say. Someone
Assume everything you say is worthless to the rest of this community.
I muted that. I muted
Um,
that thread and walked away. I'll end and then I'll cut off just so for the sake of
Yeah.
everything. But I muted that thread and walked away. And then somebody was telling me like, "Hey, somebody is like making fun of the way you look, but in a really homophobic way." And that
they
person
were
then.
doing, this guy looks gay, but wokely apparently.
This guy
Right,
is
it was so
bisexual,
bizarre.
by the way. It's
Yeah,
just,
it was also a nice picture of Chris.
it's a really
like,
it
oh,
was
that's a
an
great
medium
picture.
format. I was at a rave like festival that I go to. I was wearing shorts that say acid on them in like fucking a serif font. It's like a really
Wait, now I'm furiously Googling this photo because I need to know if that's accurate.
yeah, no, I'll send it to you. It's cool.
But
This person ended up privately getting dragged so aggressively by my friends for being like really homophobic in alt text, which is such a funny lib thing to do.
That's extremely
That they then privately apologized to me, but said they wouldn't take it down. And I said, "That's not how an apology works." And then
No,
they're
it really
like,
isn't.
"Oh, I'm sorry. I've been panicked." And they were like, "I've spent $500 today because I've been like spiraling." And I'm like, "Okay, well, goodbye." It was
Man.
really, it was a really fun.
whole- yeah, that whole interaction to me, that is woke 1 and woke 2 colliding with each other.
I
right?
just-
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
you guys, I'll fucking kill you. This is literally just everyone was just like, "How dare you say that? I'll fucking kill you!" And it was just like, well, you know what? Maybe you guys have a point. Maybe it is just toxic enough on here, just in the wrong way.
But shouldn't we
Right.
all get off of there? I'm really at
Yeah.
the end of my rope with any of these. Like I do it because
Like
I have no impulse
microblogging sites?
control. But like as a risk reward thing, there's no point in being on any of these text-based platforms anymore. Like we
Well,
should all be on fucking
oh.
TikTok. I fucking hate TikTok.
No,
I
we
can
shouldn't.
literally
I'm
only
sorry, I
frame
disagree.
My ability to be on Blue Sky can really only frame as I've been on the internet since I've been 11, and like that's it. Like
Unfortunately-
I have no impulse
Okay,
control. Yeah.
I will
Yeah.
end my contribution to this anyway. Hi everyone.
Okay.
But I think the problem with me is that like there's literally no other place to share news stories. There's
Mhm.
literally none.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Twitter, every
Inside
other
baseball,
platform.
we get a fair amount of traffic.
We get a
from
fair
Blue
amount
Sky.
of traffic, despite it being like
Yeah.
a fucking tiny site. We get orders of magnitude more.
Is that
link
true?
tra-
Really?
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
we get
Yeah.
tons of traffic on
because
Blue
it's
Sky.
the only fucking website. It's the only fucking platform that doesn't strangle your fucking links like
Yeah,
like and it's just fucked up. It's fucked up. There's no other place, and like until that changes or like Twitter dies and you know like the end of the Dark Crystal, the Skeksis, and whatever those big like rhinoceros looking whatever those slow guys were, when they merge again and the site is unified into something horrible but like sustainable, then that'll be it. Because I don't want to. I'm sorry. I find TikTok is bad, annoying to fucking look at. I'm sorry.
No, it's awful. I don't use it. It's awful. It just
It's-
if you
it's-
want
Yeah.
to affect like
Well, it's
national
also
Yeah, no, I
politics,
think
to be on
I
there,
mean,
I don't want to be on there. It's
every
awful.
social media
Yeah.
platform is obviously owned by terrible people, but you know TikTok is now the fucking Ellisons, and the
Yeah.
algorithm has been you know, beaten to
I
hell and
I
back.
think
for
that,
I'm gonna
that
book you
Jamel
though.
Bowie is generally speaking correct when he's like, if you want to change minds, you need to go where the people are.
Yeah.
It's just that I decided a while ago, my mission used to be changing minds, but a long time ago, my mission became, I am just trying to explain viewpoints. I want to talk about other people's stories. I want to capture a moment in time that I think is important. I want to talk about a piece of art I think is important and why I think it is important. I
Mhm.
know that I cannot be a person that individually person by person changes minds, but I can write for people who feel the absence of left-wing commentary in their media diet. I can be that, and
Yeah.
that is okay with me.
I mean, I'm not going on fucking TikTok either. I like I
Okay.
hate it.
All right,
I don't want to do it. I
I'm
think
gonna
objectively
boogie.
it makes sense to be on
Yeah.
there, but also I hate it.
Okay, that's a wrap on Chris for this episode.
Yeah.
But
But yeah.
yeah, no, I mean TikTok is bizarre, and yeah, I don't think we necessarily super need to be on it, but we sort of do. Like it's hard to say when you
Yeah,
are
no,
a
it's-
news organization nominally, like the extent
Yeah.
to which you should be engaging with it, especially when like most of our audience simply isn't there. Our
I feel
biggest
like it's
TikTok success.
untenable. It's untenable to be on it, and it's untenable not to be on it. Like they
Yeah.
both options just suck ass. And like, yeah, I
Mhm.
also haven't figured out what I'm gonna do, but I also don't want to make little videos and like sit
Yeah.
behind the wheel of my car and like
Oh
talk
my
to my camera. Like
Right.
there's something
I
so
That's the
feel
bleak
bigger.
about it.
so
Okay, I think this is
stupid.
maybe like, yes, I was about to say that. I think this is like a millennial issue, is that I feel so self-conscious about doing any of that, even in the privacy of
Totally,
my own home.
totally.
And
Yeah,
then
I
like,
can't do
I
it.
think
Yeah,
younger people are just like, yeah, whatever. I'll walk down like the street, a crowded street in New York City, and film a video,
yeah, I
and that
know.
will just be fine. And it's like, I
I
could never.
saw two young people full on filming like a music video in the park the other day, and I just stared at them. It's like, aren't
It's
you
fascinating.
embarrassed? Aren't you
Yeah.
embarrassed by this?
No, this
No,
is like
they're
how it
not.
works. Yeah.
Yeah, they are free from the fear that I have of putting myself out there on the internet. They're completely
Mhm.
free of that. Probably that's good. In some ways it's bad. I think less
Yeah.
people should use their real names on the internet. And also people have finally gotten wise to the idea of not doxing your children by posting an image of them
Yeah,
with
no
their full
kidding.
name and date of birth as soon as they're born.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
do
Just them
that.
holding their birth certificate like they're in a fucking lineup.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like why I'm glad people have stopped doing this, but also like the millennial approach to the internet is like the internet is PvP. Everyone on the internet is a danger to you, and you have to avoid running into those
Yeah.
dangers. Whereas I think a generation younger than us that have always had the internet at their fingertips, that it wasn't a new thing they had to adjust to, they don't feel that fear. But bad things happen online, and the more you put your face out there, I think in some ways you will
Yeah,
end up
no.
regretting some of those things. I think it's
Mhm.
normalized now to have your shitty opinions everywhere on the internet, but also like, man, I don't get it. I don't want to
I
record
did a
myself
thing
talking.
a couple months ago. I did a thing where for an episode I interviewed a bunch of teenagers about their use of social media and just like logistically, how much do you use it, how do you use it, etc. And almost all of them said to me that they only use apps where your messages and your posts disappear after a certain amount of time, right? 24 hours, 1 month, or whatever.
Mhm.
And it seemed like that seemed like smart to me, that like if
Mhm.
you're
Yeah.
16, even 16-year-olds were like, I don't want to look back at this when I'm 30. I don't
Right.
want to
I
have
don't want
all
a
of this
permanent record of
saved.
this.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
want to post it and then it disappears in however many hours. And that seems like a pretty smart way forward, honestly. Like you don't want to leave these like permanent footprints unless it's like very, whatever, LinkedIn or something that an employer might want. But just
Mhm.
having like the default being like everything I post is going to disappear actually seems like pretty smart.
Yeah. I mean, especially given that, otherwise if you're talking younger people, then it's a vector for bullying, and it's
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
also, you know, I mean, being young is the time when you're supposed to make mistakes. We were saying that earlier. Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
you
Yeah.
should be able to. That's the whole point. Otherwise, you don't get a chance to learn or to grow. And then what are you doing? You're a kid forever. And I think I'm
Yeah.
explaining why a lot of people are the way they are right now. Because everyone is 12. Brought it back around.
This motherfucker and his segues. God damn it. Uh,
Speaking of everyone being 12, actually, I don't really have a good segue on that one. We should still talk about speedrunning, though, which is something good on the internet, at least in large part, given the way that GDQ has moved in recent years. That was the main
Yeah,
thrust
talk
of
about
my
your
piece.
piece. Yeah.
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 I published a gigantic piece this week that took so much of the life out of my body. I'm still recovering. But basically about Games Done Quick as an organization that is a speedrunning charity marathon. They host multiple events throughout the year. And in recent years, they have become very woke. Woke in a way that I think stands in stark contrast to a lot of video game communities, which,
Yeah.
tend to be exclusionary, mostly white and male, all of that. And as we were talking about earlier, very protective of that makeup of their communities and that status. And GDQ, despite starting in a similar place, I think has made very intentional moves in the direction of inviting more people and being welcoming and, like turning trans rights into a rallying cry, trying to get more diversity on their stages, trying and, to an extent failing. A big portion of the article is about how they have so far not done super great in terms of just having like people of color on their main stages. And yeah, I was like going through photos for just the article's visuals, and I was like, man, everyone in every one of these photos, and there were like hundreds of them. It's like, this is really white. This is crazy
Yeah.
white. Um, but I think they are making a really good faith effort, and they're putting in the work on kind of a daily basis to ensure that their communities stay, hospitable to people of a wide variety of backgrounds. And that to me is very admirable, especially in this day and age. Again, like trans rights is a rallying cry at their events during a time when trans people are being oppressed on a national scale every single day. Um, And so
And they seem
yeah,
unapologetic about like this is a space
yes.
where people are going to feel safe, and like you can be a right winger if you want, but you can't behave in a way that's going to make somebody feel shitty. Which I think is one thing that actually drew me to gaming or like made me interested in this kind of community is like it is one of the few places in America where there is a lot of interaction between like left-wing people and right-wing people and like
Hmm.
super like COD like 17-year-old boys playing COD and then also like trans speedrunners and like these
Hmm.
people are interacting with each other and it's interesting like the sort of the norms and the kind of the rules and the little dramas that form in a community like that.
Well, I think this is because honestly, game development and the games they produce for a very long time were culturally extremely conservative.
Mm.
Um, I got so obsessed with Marathon that I've decided to buy and play the Halo Master Chief Collection. I have never played a Halo game before. Part of
Mm.
this was because every time I tried to play Halo multiplayer with my other gamer friends in high school, these were all really mean teenage boys. And they
It's
saw
insane, yeah.
me as like a target for bullying if I wanted to play Halo. That was my only purpose as
Mm.
a femme presenting person in those scenarios.
Mm.
So I could never get better at the game unless I wanted to like play alone like a weirdo so I could practice my aim or something. And like, if you entered those lobbies and you had a voice that was like even a little bit fruity, you were
Oh,
gonna
people
get
would
hit.
go off.
I
Yeah.
think the website is still up, but I remember one of the first feminist gaming websites I became aware of was this website called Fat, Ugly, or Slutty.
Hmm.
And that is named after the three things girls almost always get called if they go on a mic in a multiplayer competitive video
Yeah.
game. It's
Yeah.
either fat, ugly, or you're slutty. And like that's it. And it was just a repository of voice messages and text chat and comms communications of women being called these things.
Hmm.
And it it was incredibly inhospitable, but also like you look at the content of Halo and it's like such a post 9/11
Oh
game.
man, yep.
It is all about the troops and how great the troops are and loving the troops
Mhm.
and how we got to defend America's
And then
freedoms.
like a religious sect of aliens that wants to cause harm to, those troops.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
can you imagine anything worse than harm befalling the troops?
I mean, no, I'd have
Yeah, he's
to,
the
In
yeah.
master
2005 we
chief.
couldn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Though I think for a very long time the military shooter was the preeminent kind of game that people wanted to play and that would sell endlessly. I think you can still see it in modern day Call of Duty, the way that the pro military very conservative framing of these people dictates the kind of community that they will have. People
Yeah.
get so mad at you if you mention that women on the internet really want to fuck Call of Duty character Ghost. They want to fuck him crazy style. There's like an endless stream of pornography about Ghost. And it's just cuz the voice actor is a hot voice and he wears a mask. And that's it. But if you talk to like a masculine COD player about that fact, they will get so fucking angry at you. And it I don't think this reaction exists for a lot of other games. I think most other games at this point in time, if you tell them there's fan fiction about the character, it's either amusement or of course, like
Mhm.
obviously. But for some reason, Call of Duty players hate that people find these characters fuckable.
Yeah, well, that's
And
because fan fiction also is the domain of like not men in their
yes,
minds. And so it's
you're
like, how dare
either a
you?
girl
Again,
or
it's
an
always
F
that
slur
mentality of
if
like
you read
how,
it. Yeah.
yeah, and it's like, how dare you take our toys?
Yeah.
It always goes back to that. But also to what you were saying and to what Michael was saying too about kind of like the collision of these cultures. I think it's also interesting to chart the evolution of games like Halo and Call of Duty over time. Because yeah, like the underlying kind of narratives in those games are pretty intrinsically conservative, but over time they also like became weirdly progressive in terms of like representation.
Yeah.
A lot of the writers on recent Call of Duties are like very progressive people
Mm.
in the games industry, like who are, talk about these issues online and stuff. And it's like,
Mm.
but you're writing the conservative propaganda game. Like, what's happening here? How do you
Have the
how do you
yeah.
square this?
How's the audience been with that? Has the audience lost their minds or are they chill?
I mean, the games are still incredibly conservative. So they're
Mm.
happy to have their pro military slop. Essentially, they are happy as long as you are a soldier that is fighting terrorists, however that
Yeah.
is defined.
Mm.
And these will always, because of 9/11, always now be games about fighting terror.
Oh man,
And
there's also that
that's it.
brief moment where everybody thought that like Call of Duty Black Ops 7 or whatever was gonna do 9/11. I was like really
God.
hoping that they were going to include an actual virtual 9/11 section. I was like, this is the funniest possible outcome. They've got to
What, where
do
like
it.
you could fly the planes? Like, what do you mean do
Or like
9/11?
maybe you were on the plane, maybe you were in the tower. Like, you know, there are so
Okay.
Oh,
many
you got to
options.
test
Maybe all of
the
them.
theory
Maybe
of
you like jump between perspectives as 9/11 happens. Yo, is this might be a great idea. I got to get someone on the phone. And
yeah. Marky
Still
Mark
too
said
soon.
if he was on that plane, 9/11 wouldn't have gone down like that, and this
Oh
is a
yeah.
chance for him to test his theory, essentially. God,
You
I
could have
mean,
like a quick time event, like prevent 9/11. Like press
yeah,
F to
no,
prevent
no,
9/11.
yeah, where you can any percent completion speed run 9/11. uh,
right.
Getting back to the topic at hand, though, with that in mind,
Mm.
Michael, how did you get into speed running? Because we're trying
Oh.
to talk about this and we keep veering off in totally different directions.
I think it was Super Mario Brothers. There's video essays about how people beat Super Mario Brothers in less than 5 minutes,
Mhm.
and they like play the speed run, and you're like, this is insane, and they like break down, and you guys are probably like this too as journalists. It's like I like knowing how things work, and
Mhm.
so speedrunning is like a way to understand how video games
Oh
work,
yeah.
like this weird thing with frame rules or whatever. It's like
Mhm.
this is how they programmed games back in the day, and they only had like 256 kilobytes to play with, and like this
Mhm.
is the way they did it, and like I know it's a weird entry point into like these broken down old jalopies that like somehow were playable video games back in the
Mhm.
day. But like, yeah, I got totally obsessed with those, and then now again, it's like my comfort content. I'm like, ooh, break down this
Yep. Oh
the
man, me
speed
too.
run for me. It feels so good. Like games I've never even fucking heard of. I'm like, I just want to know how people are breaking this insane game into less than 7 minutes or whatever. Do you guys
Man,
watch
it's
those
also
too?
really. I watch some of those. I mostly just watch like because GDQ at this point is so good about always having something streaming, and so
Yeah.
that's just like on in the background of my life constantly. It's just
No way.
people speedrunning things and talking about what they are doing. And I think
Mm,
it's also a fun way to even just discover new games or games you're never going to play because you get
mm,
this unique perspective on them, like you were saying. And the people who are doing it are often so passionate and
mm.
know so much, like not just about how the game works, but all this ephemera surrounding it too,
It's
like the
insane. Yeah.
history
It's so
and
cool.
yeah. And
It's
it's
like a
like, wow.
PhD. It's like talking to someone who's like an academic expert in something, but they happen to be some like 19-year-old in like a gamer chair. Yeah.
No,
Right.
that's my favorite thing is someone again, if you are an RPG character, putting all your points into understanding how video games work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
Mhm.
I could listen to a person like that talk for hours. I always loved I love when there's a game where there's a highly competitive like world record race going on. I love
Yeah.
when people kept shaving seconds off their like Mario 64
Mm-hmm.
times. I love
Yeah.
that stuff. I love it especially I remember for a long time there was a skip in a Zelda game that involved taking the cartridge out and then putting back in really fast.
Mhm.
Just
No way.
how do you figure out
Yeah.
that that is
Or
the precise way you need to break the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
programming restrictions
they
on this game to let you do something?
wait, Michael, did you see at the most recent AGDQ, I believe, their Wind Waker run? Because Wind Waker is
No.
like the
Those are insane.
game.
The backwards swimming shit where it just like doesn't
Yeah.
even make sense. Yeah.
Well, like, so Wind Waker has gotten so crazy that now what they do is they basically have figured out how to like through various motions reprogram the game's code. And so
Okay.
Wait,
it's a
what?
series of highly arbitrary things that they do near the very start of the game that allows them to beat it in like 24 minutes. Because
Mm.
basically they manage to tell the game to assign the final cutscene to a door, and you just open that door
You
and
just
go
open
in,
the
and the game
door.
ends.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it
That is
takes
like
so
the
much
shit.
work, and it's so
It's
precise, and it
crazy.
can
Yeah.
crash the game. And
Yeah.
like, but yeah, watching it, you're just like, this is mind-boggling. And I
Yeah.
think some of it is like they figured it out via like machine tools, and then learned
Right.
how to replicate it without those tools. But it's still just like, man, you were like speaking to the game in its programming language, but without opening a console.
Yeah.
Like,
And
oh,
it's also a
it's
collaborative effort among
bonkers.
like 80 people that takes, months to years of like the fact that it's such a collaborative effort is also super interesting to me because you'll have like one glitch hunter, one task person,
Yep.
and there's some like complete weirdo who can actually execute it, like someone whose fingers are so fast that they can actually do it. It's also like an interesting example of teamwork too. And teamwork
Hmm.
to achieve these like completely arbitrary things, but also like most of adult life is achieving arbitrary things. So it's like who's to say doing a speed run is any less cool than like I don't know throwing a football really far or
Man, oh, I
something?
think it's much cooler. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, sorry. If somebody was
Shocking
like,
twist, the
"Here's
video
you can
games
get an
guy.
autograph from you can get an autograph from either this famous football person, I don't know any of their names, or like a speedrunner with 200
Now
followers on
tell
Blue
me
Sky." I'd be like,
why.
"Speedrunner, easy."
Tell me why when you said famous football person, the first name I thought of was Michael Vick.
No, that's a famous dog fighter. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
God, no, I watched a video like 2 days ago that I really, really, really loved of just like a normal person on TikTok talking about their experiences. That sometimes these videos make their way to Instagram Reels, and that's how I see them because I'm not on TikTok. And it was someone, a young Black man, who was just like, I have embarked on reading 1,000+ page books. And he had his whole explanation of how fulfilling it felt to finish those books and like to know that you read all 1,000 pages of it, and is like, you have to work your way up to this goal, but once you read a book that's over 1,000 pages one time, every other book looks easy. The way he described the feeling of accomplishment he felt after that was by saying, it's like beating millennia in Elden Ring. And I was like, you know what? Like, actually, yes, though. I think if you read Moby Dick, that is exactly like beating millennia. If you've
Yeah.
read Infinite Jest, that's exactly like beating millennia. It asks the same level of dedication from you. I think that's a totally fair comparison to make.
I'm never reading Infinite Jest. I have beaten Millennia numerous times. Like, yeah. Matter of priorities as far as I'm concerned. Fuck Infinite Jest. I'm not reading
Yeah, skill
footnotes.
issue. Absolutely
no.
skill issue.
Have you guys ever speedrunned anything?
God, no, I'm too stupid. I'm too
No.
stupid to do
And
that
also,
shit.
okay. That is the antithesis of how I like to play games, because like a pet peeve for me is when I have to do anything repeatedly more than like a couple times.
Same. Yeah.
Like I start to go insane. I
Yeah.
like generally speaking, if you talk to people, they're like, "Oh yeah, I've never seen you like get angry." It's like I get so mad when that
Yeah, yeah,
happens. I get like scary angry. I just keep
I'm
it
like
to
that
myself
too.
in the
Yeah.
privacy
Just
of my own home.
let me fight the
Um,
fucking boss again. I don't want to spend 8 minutes
exactly.
getting back to the fucking boss. I know that drives me. All this like corpse run shit too is just
Uh-huh.
like the fact that it's showing up in like Metroidvanias now. Where you have to like go back and get your fucking runes before you like go explore. I'm just like, this is trash, and you should let me turn it off.
I have
But this is
become.
also another
Oh,
part of the
please
reason
keep
why
going.
I'm so fascinated by speedrunners, because I'm like, our minds, or at least our approaches to this, are so different. And
Yeah,
like
no, totally.
as a
Yeah,
result, I find I love talking to them, because I'm like,
yeah,
that you even get to this point where it's like, oh yeah, I've done this run like 1,000 times. I've spent
yeah.
so many hours on this. I do it the same way constantly to like nail everything, to memorize everything. And I'm
Right.
like, I want to crack open your brain and like put it under a microscope and be like, oh, so the folds are here, and that's why it works this
Right,
way.
because it is
Yeah.
like they're playing video games and we're playing video games, but it really isn't the same activity. Like what they're doing is so repetition focused, and like yeah, I try to get as much repetition out of it as I possibly can.
Uh-huh.
Because that's the thing. I mean, some of these guys talk about like tens of thousands of runs for these things, and they just sit and do the same 5 minute thing over and over again for 8 hours. And like,
Yeah.
I couldn't even do that for like 45
My
minutes.
specific brand of neurodivergence will not let me do that. I
Mm-hmm.
would rather like shoot myself in the face than sit
Yes.
and do the same
Same, yeah.
repetitive task for
Yeah.
5 hours. I am like a strategy game sicko. That is where my sicko
Yeah.
tendencies come out. As soon as I like understood Dwarf Fortress, it literally changed the way I think about basically all games, and I've become an intense min-maxer. I optimize things to the point like I couldn't play Cult of the Lamb because I min-maxed the little settlement so quickly that I realized there was nothing left in the game for me,
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah.
Um, but I really respect the speedrunner because it really is about min-maxing, but like in the real world. How do I
Yeah.
maximize the amount of game I'm playing with the minimum amount of effort? That really makes a lot of sense to me.
Do you play the
Yeah.
same games over and over again?
Oh my god,
Oh yeah, that's a
I
good question.
just finally uninstalled Crusader Kings 3.
Okay.
Because that is a game I could and have played literally until the sun comes up. It just scratches my brain in a particular way, and there are a couple of games that are similar to that, but Crusader Kings 3 is the most dangerous
I mean,
to
that game's
my
also
ability to
super
live a life.
over-ended, right?
Yeah.
Which would be a little different than like replaying. And this is the example that sprang to mind. It's not a good game or story like The Last of Us, where like it's very
Right, yeah.
linear. It's very point A
Yeah.
to point B. It tells the same story every time. Like Crusader Kings is wonderful because it is this story generation engine. You
Yeah.
always get these like nothing is
Oh,
ever the
and
same,
I
and
was
it's always full of.
exclusively playing with the Game of Thrones total conversion mod. And that was fucking sick as hell. You can start
Yeah.
at the like way before Robert's Rebellion and just completely change the entire narrative of a Game of Thrones.
That actually is really cool.
And it was
Can you change season 8? Can you fucking fix
Yes.
the ending?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Oh my god.
Well,
And they found out a way to put dragons in the game. It's amazing.
hell
It's
yeah.
really good.
That is sick.
Yeah,
What is
definitely check out.
Nathan, what is your emotional support video game?
What is my emotion? Okay, so like it changes. For the past like since what middle of last year, late last year, it has been, and I've mentioned this game so many times on this show, but whatever. A JRPG called Trails in the Sky.
Okay.
They remade it recently, and it's just like it is a game that posits what if everyone in the world, barring a few villains, was decent and nice and just wanted to contribute to a functioning society. And it is like peak escapist fantasy for me right now. I'm like, oh yeah, everyone will just be. This is just going to be a pleasant time.
That
While
sounds
like still
woke too as
telling,
hell. Yeah.
it
Right?
really is.
Perfect.
Okay, what
It's great.
video games are woke too? Can we talk about this before we get back to speed running for a second? Because
Yeah.
I feel like Persona 3 specifically is woke too. I don't know if 4 or 5 are woke too.
Yeah, no,
But
5 definitely isn't with its transphobia.
yeah, and the 3 though is really just about, hey, everyone's gonna die. Go make some friends. Like that's
I would
essentially the message of the
say
game. Yeah.
I would say Street Fighter 6 because it has representation for cousin fuckers, and like that's a
True.
really important part of
Of
woke
course.
Finally.
too. That
That's
we're
like
all fucking our cousins.
Yeah. Hashtag justice for cousin fuckers.
Trails does sound like a good candidate. I think also original Hades is woke too
Yeah,
because
that's what
it's
I was
like
thinking. Yes.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Original, yes. Hades 2, no.
Yeah, original yes because it is like, hey, your dad's a jerk, but remember that he's a person too, essentially.
Yeah.
And
Well,
maybe
also,
you'll get
like,
over it someday, but maybe you won't.
because we ran an article about how Hades 2 like embraces a kind of status quo, and that despite playing as someone who is ostensibly an agent of change, you don't really meaningfully impact the lives of like a lot of the side characters.
Yeah.
And in Hades 2, you did. You actually things were different than they started out.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think that that's also the difference maybe between woke 1 and 2 in general, is like saying the status quo is something that we should be trying to shift in a way that goes beyond, like, again, simple matters of like representation, like a woman CEO or whatever.
I think it's the same way that right wing people use woke to mean anything they think is bad. We're using woke too to mean anything we think is good. We're like, that's woke too. Like peanut butter and jelly sandwich, that's woke too, baby.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it is. And it's the official food of woke too, to be clear.
Yeah, if you have a peanut allergy, fuck you. You're not woke anymore. Sorry.
You've been demoted. You have
Yeah.
to join the right wing. You don't have a choice.
I think every Dark Souls game, every From Software game is woke too. I know that this is just saying more things that I like are woke too, but
No,
no.
those are just like games you like. Those games aren't remotely woke too.
At least Dark Souls 1 is about doing something other than sustaining the status quo.
Oh, man.
If you link the fire in Dark Souls 1, you are perpetuating a status quo that is clearly dying on its way out and does not need to be perpetuated. If you allow for the time of man to arise, the time of dark, the dark soul, then you are saying goodbye to the old world because its time is done. And
I will trust you on that. I refuse to learn what those games are about. I'm not reading item descriptions. I'm not sitting there fucking reading when I'm trying to play my video game. Absolutely not. I'll trust you. Sure.
no, I love
Oh.
reading video games. Sorry, I love it. I love to
Why did I not? You know what game is woke 2? Woke 2er
What?
than any other game, and also it's just the most game that has ever existed. Warframe. It's obviously Warframe.
Well,
You just
yeah.
read a huge feature about Warframe that is yet to be published, so I'm very curious about this.
Yeah. No, I mean, it is actually like, I mean, for one, it's just like in ways that are very subtle, it's like an extremely queer game. Like all of the frames themselves play with like ideas of gender and stuff, but very like, not in a way that's in your face. It's just like, oh yeah, what is this supposed to, it's all sorts of things. And then also like the game's politics have been generally good. They support good causes, like, they give a shit. But again, not in like an annoying way, if that makes sense. Also, I thought of probably the game that is the standard bearer for woke 2 games. It's got to be Fallout New Vegas, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I haven't
I
played that.
mean, Fallout New Vegas is really good, but I'll also say, Michael, when I got a copy of Fallout New Vegas. I couldn't play it the first night because I spent 2 hours following a modding guide to make the game stable to play on PC. It
Oh, no
is
way.
still so broken.
Yeah.
Oh,
Now the
yeah.
only problem with Fallout New Vegas is that if you play it, it does turn you trans. Like
Okay, yeah.
that is kind of a thing
That's
that they didn't
woke
really
too, though.
advertise
That's
well.
woke too. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
the most
this
woke
is
too thing
what
imaginable.
whatever they put in the water to make the frogs gay, they also put it in Fallout New Vegas. I don't know what it
In the
is.
code, that's why it's
Yeah.
boogie. Is because
Yeah,
of
exactly.
this is the gender affirming code that they have in there. Yeah.
Fallout New Vegas is also a game about saying goodbye to the old world. It is just takes place in Vegas. It is the most Fallout has ever gotten to very very objectively saying America's done. It's over. There will never be another America. And the people that are trying to bring back America are all fools. It's not going to work long run.
Sort of burn it down ass video game. Yeah.
It really is. I think that there's been so today also, speaking of woke one, the new Life is Strange game comes out that is essentially a fix it fic game that is trying to correct the ending for Max and Chloe. And I do think our friends at Mothership ran a blog today about at the end of Life is Strange 1, you get the choice to either save Arcadia Bay or save like Max and Chloe ride off into the sunset together as a couple, and everyone else they know is dead, essentially. And they ran an essay today about why people choose to save Max and Chloe together and save this lesbian relationship rather than saving the town. And I think that for a long time it was accepted that making that choice was the more selfish one. But it is interesting to think about video games that allow you to make that selfish choice that life doesn't really afford to you, right? Like, I think a lot of couples that are in small towns where they are maybe the only gay couple that's out among their age range, you have to choose to burn everything down if you want to be in that relationship. And
Just kill
they-
everyone but the lesbians. Is what you're
Exactly.
saying.
There we
You
go.
know,
That's the real like
Yeah.
main pillar of woke too.
Mhm.
Is
Yes,
Burn
we're
it all
gonna.
kill
down.
everyone except lesbians.
Mhm.
Sorry, guys, we're all going out.
That's fine. I'm willing to take this one on the chin.
Yeah,
I've had
that's
a good
fair, that's
life.
fair.
You guys have both gotten worse. Yeah.
God, it is interesting though, like the way there are games that do give you a chance to think about or conceptualize what life is like after the end of everything. And that is a really interesting framework to theorize like what life past this stupid ass moment in history could feel like. You know, Final Fantasy VI is like the classic example. There's this whole part of the game where you have to play in the wreckage of the old world. But also like literally Pocopia makes me cry every day because you will run in Pocopia. It takes place in a world without humans, and it's very explicit. It's something you learn in the first moments of the game. And as you're playing, you realize like, oh, this is the Kanto region from Pokemon Red and Blue. These are 3D versions of all those 2D towns that I visited when I was playing this game on my Game Boy. And every once in a while, it will just recreate a little piece of lore one to one that you may remember from playing the first Pokemon game. And just being smacked in the face by my mortality just made me weep a couple of times. It just made me think about
Yeah.
what would Ella the cat do if anything ever happened to me? What would happen to
Right.
her? Would she be
I
okay?
don't know what Ella would do. I know the Biscuit the cat, who you can see behind me if you look past the plant, would eat
I
me,
don't see it. Yeah.
and that would be fine.
You would sustain Biscuit's life for an indeterminate amount of time, and I think that would be acceptable. Ella is such
Exactly.
a bully that I just feel like she'd get into a lot of fights without me to keep her safe.
Oh yeah,
She-
yeah. She would like lose her way. She'd be
Yeah.
lashing out at school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys, I gotta run. My boyfriend is visiting me, and I'm taking him
Oh,
up
shit.
to
Oh
Columbia
my
Tower,
God.
and I gotta be there in 10
okay.
minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry,
Well-
guys.
Okay, well, thank you. No, it's totally fine. Thank you for joining us for as long as you did. It was
is really
an
fun.
absolute delight to have you on.
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
On your telephone in the podcast app for If Books Could Kill or Maintenance Phase.
Fantastic.
Excellent. Yeah. All right. Well, have a good time.
Yeah,
And
thanks so much, you guys.
thanks again for joining us.
All right, bye.
Yeah.
He's okay.
All
now
right.
it's
That's
just
an episode. That's a series wrap on Michael Hobbes. Okay. I have a question before we move on to the mailbag. which is, do you think that Cyberpunk 2077 is woke 1 or 2?
Cyberpunk 2077 is the most Gen X coded game that I've ever played in my life.
Yeah, it is.
Like,
It
it
really is.
defies woke 1 or woke 2. It is PC. That's what I'll call it.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong.
Yeah.
It is also ideologically confused. Maybe one of the most ideologically confused games I've ever played, which again, Gen X is hell.
We've talked about this, but I do just need to email Michael Pondsmith. I just need to talk to him for several hours about what's going on in his head, because the source books for Cyberpunk are so weird and so interesting, and they are mostly rants about his thoughts about where the world is headed based on the snapshot of reality that he's focused on at the time. God, what a weird guy. I love a weird old guy.
Yep. All right, let's move on to the mailbag now, which, by the way, if you would like to contribute to the mailbag, you can do so by subscribing to aftermath.site at our member tier, which is currently on sale for basically the price of our reader tiers. So I would recommend taking advantage of that, because that's kind of a crazy deal. Anyway, that will get you access to the Discord, and that is where the mailbag and all of the other magic happens. And yeah, with that said, let's go ahead and dig in. I think there'll probably be a few questions for Michael in here, and unfortunately, he'll not be able to answer them, but we can try to pretend to be him or something. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, from Tidy Messy, did you consider, and this only works if you're looking at it, too woke, spelled TWOKE, so instead of woke 2, twoke.
Wow. I didn't consider that because it sucks. I'm sorry. But it does.
It did make me feel like I was having a stroke, though, so that's cool. Stroke too. Hey. Anyway.
Brother.
All right. From Jack. Many speedrunners have backup/safety starts, especially marathons. Do you have any backup strats for your everyday life? Ooh, that is a great question. Let's see. Backup strats for everyday life. I mean, I'm always worried about these things.
No, I have I'm not an everyday carry person, but I do have a little pouch that contains fidget toys, spare Excedrin migraine, 3 different strengths of earplugs, and my digital audio player. And I put that in my purse every day. And that is just in case I freak out in public, essentially.
Okay, I thought of mine. Every time that I exit my apartment, even just like to go take out the trash, or go down to the gym or whatever, I always, at least for a split second, think about what I would do if I happened to have forgotten my keys inside my apartment, locked myself out this time.
Yes,
it has happened
I
like
also
once
do this.
in my whole life, ever.
Yeah.
But I always think about it. I'm like, okay, who has spares? Who has backups? Where are they right now? Yeah.
Yeah.
So definitely that. But I feel like the idea of a backup strat for everyday life suffuses many elements of my life, and hearing it put in those terms is like, oh yeah, that's a slight revelation.
God, no, the one time I forgot my keys at home, I went to the gym and then I realized I didn't have my keys in my bag, my gym bag. And so I had to call my husband and go to his office, and he gave me his keys. And I am just grateful that my backup strat for everyday life frequently is just David. Like, David will figure it out. I'll wait for David to get home.
Yeah. I mean, every couple needs the partner who is put together and the irresponsible one.
Which one are you, Nathan? Which one are you?
It is truly impossible to say. The people will ultimately be the judge of that.
Oh, the people.
All right. From Kier Kanos? Anyway, if Woke 2 needed a video game character as its mascot, who would it be? Who's the mascot of Woke 2?
I mean, Ella the cat, I think, is the mascot of Woke 2 in my mind. She
I
really
think,
likes it when you're nice to her, and if she wants to be left alone, she'll fucking scratch you. I think that's Woke 2 to me.
I think maybe Kirby. So radically accepting that he'll just transform into you. Transform into
Oh,
anything.
wow.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
I think it should be Kirby.
Yeah. All right, let's see. From Nascent Goth. Given that it's a juggernaut in the speedrunning community and has attracted its fair share of games drama, what is everyone's thoughts on games done quick? We already talked about it, and I ran an 8,500 word piece on it this week.
Jesus
So,
Christ, Nathan. How did you not die?
Do you want to know how long the Warframe piece is?
Oh, brother. How long is it, Nathan?
Over 6,000 words.
Jesus Christ. What's wrong with
I've
you?
written in terms of sheer word count, like 1/5 of a book this week. Well,
Stupid.
in the past 2 weeks.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
Not that stupid, but still, brother, come
Yeah.
on.
No,
Give yourself take a big nap next week.
Oh,
You're
I'm
gonna
planning
take it.
to. I'm planning
I'm
to.
going to make you take a day off. That's
No,
what's
I just
gonna
like
happen.
I've had both these pieces brewing for so long, and like I needed them. I needed them to be done here. This was less about like, oh, I feel the pressure to make sure that Woke Week goes off without a hitch, which I did. But it was more about like, I need these to be out of my life so that I can move on to other things. And that is what you see before you. That's what happened. Hopefully it won't happen again anytime soon because it has been very demanding.
Yes.
All right, from Mish. You've been put in charge of the Woke 2 Truth and Reconciliation Committee. What changes do you implement?
I mean, the number one thing which I posted on Blue Sky is if you get insanely mad about a post you saw online, you are now legally required to ask your neighbor if they need help with anything around the house.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they need help loading the groceries? Do they need help with a leaky faucet? Do they need a cup of sugar? Anything. Just if you go insane about something on the internet, make sure that there's nothing in real life that could be handled instead of posting about it.
Yeah. Corollary to that is simply that if you get really mad about something online, I don't know how it deploys under the mechanisms. I'm not an engineer. Giant cane just yanks you away. Just pulls you from where you were at the
Wait,
time.
who's doing the mechanics on the can?
We need our top scientists on it. I think we need like Gabe Newell to be funding this with his yacht money.
I mean, yeah, I think he could probably use that for giant cane technology.
Exactly. Let's see. From Mystic Eddie T. I'm already a big fan of the If Books Could Kill podcast. Awesome crossover. It was a great crossover. One of my favorites ever. Which pieces of media, games, films, books, TV, shows, etc., have most influenced your perspective on what Woke 2, Electric Boogaloo, is or should aspire to be, and how can it improve upon earlier versions? Okay, so we've talked about this some. But yeah, what pieces of media have influenced your perspective
Can
on
I
it?
say, I mean, I chose a picture of Ghetto Pat as played by Leonardo DiCaprio in One Battle After Another as the header image of this. But I have to say that the online freakout in response to One Battle After Another did absolutely motivate me to write this Woke 2 blog. The way in which people truly didn't watch that movie and then reacted to what they wanted it to be rather than what it was made me think a lot about the insufficient in how wokeness is an insufficient ideological lens through which to view the world. Is One Battle After Another a movie that is particularly woke? I mean, I don't know. I think it says something important about the value of activism even as you age out of being able to participate in the movement yourself. It essentially says that old saying that has been useful to me is like, you are not obligated to complete the work, but the work will always continue. I think that that is okay as a message to the movie. I don't think the movie was anti-black. I don't think so at all. I am sympathetic to arguments from Black women, especially that say like, it's weird that P.T. Anderson made this movie in which blackness looms so large a specter. I do guess, like, yeah, it is always a little uncomfortable to watch a white man talk about what he thinks about race. But I do feel like it is a movie that speaks to a real social problem, which is what do I do when I feel super fucking useless, but I still want to help? And it's support the people who are useful.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
something that you can do. I genuinely love One Battle After Another. I think it is an incredible movie. I cried in the theater. I was one of those freaks singing along to American Girl over the end credits. I loved it. I think it's a great film. I love P.T. Anderson. Tiana Taylor was fantastic. But yeah, I think for me, One Battle After Another is an expression of the things that I am interested in I'm interested in furthering in wokeness as an ideology.
All right, let's see. From Matt. Go woke, go broke always felt like a bullshit slogan with very little foundation in both political or economic reality. Maybe I'm just living in my lib woke DEI bubble, but it seems like the opposite is actually true, and game publishers/developers shouldn't bother obeying in advance. There's a question mark at the end of that, though it reads like a statement. Yeah, I would agree with that, especially because, yeah, I think that there are a lot of notable examples of people going anti-woke and going broke. That tends to be the pattern more often. What sprang to mind for me immediately, and this is outside of the purview of games a little bit, is Gina Carano, who, went super anti-woke during her time on The Mandalorian, lost that job, and then like got picked up by Daily Wire, and they released something that like did not attract any viewership or money. And now she is out of desperation, unretiring from MMA after 16 years away from the sport, for a payday. Even though, like, you can tell she is not, like, she's going to have to spend most of her fight camp just getting in shape. She's not going to be able to relearn how to fight or become,
Mhm.
like, great at it again in that time. Like, a lot of these people, everything they do reeks of desperation. And I don't know. I think that because I think life also is, a very desperate thing. But I would like to desperately be doing stuff that I enjoy, not like trying to gain the attention of people who suck and
Mhm.
all of this. No, I just think that like I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that yeah.
Yeah, no, I think the thing that is frustrating to people like watching someone like Gina Carano be unable to exit the spotlight is like
Mm,
she could just have a she is not owed a job as a major celebrity in America,
right.
right? That is not something she's obligated to have, and that's not something that society owes her. She had a moment in time where she was working with Disney and was a bankable star, and people wanted to see more of her. That moment is over, and that's literally okay. Would it be humiliating for her to just get a normal job after all of that? I mean, yes, but that's fine. I've thought a lot
Yeah.
about what would happen if I no longer was able to write professionally. And would I miss the time that I had? Yeah, absolutely. But I'm extraordinarily lucky to have made it this far. So I'm very satisfied with what has happened to me in my life. If it turned out that tomorrow all of you stopped paying for Aftermath and I had to get a normal job, it would take some time to adjust, but I wouldn't desperately flail at trying to be back in the public eye. I don't enjoy it a lot. So
Mm,
I'd rather be doing something else a lot of the time anyway.
yeah. Yeah. All right. From Metroid. What's the ideal length and format of your favorite speed runs? 3 hour 100% glitchless marathons, 30-minute any percent, 4 minute 34-second incomprehensible tool assisted speed run, etc. Um, yeah, this is an interesting question again
Yeah.
because I just have them on in the background constantly. But the ones that grab my attention uh, usually need at least a degree of spectacle. Like, you know, there was like a Pokemon randomizer speedrun on a couple days ago, and I was just like, I can't. I'm having trouble like focusing on this because a lot of it is just walking around doing Pokemon-y things. Whereas there was a run recently of the new Vampire Masquerade game, and that shit ruled. It was so good.
That sounds
For one,
awesome.
because the movement tech is drop kicking your way down the street at
Oh,
incredible
yes.
speeds, and sometimes you'll just accidentally bulldoze a fucking NPC, just absolutely fucking pancake them, and it's hilarious. And then on top of that, it's a game that like has a lot of fun skips. I think that any good speedrun needs some outside bound stuff, because you're just like, whoa, that's crazy. They did not want you to see that. You're backstage right now. Do you have a pass? Um, like, yeah. So that's the
Yeah.
kind of thing that I enjoy.
I like a speed run that's really short and then an explanation video that is like 400% longer than the speed run itself. Like that's what I really I'm less into the run than I am the explanation of what makes the run work. And if you've done like a frame by frame video dissection of what makes a run function and why it works this way, then I'm absolutely glued to my seat. I do
Yeah.
also like joining in whenever someone's about to beat a world record live. I
Oh
always
yeah.
love being there for that moment because people are
Yeah.
so joyous and so happy.
Yep.
I just like participating in that.
Yeah. Another thing that I think a good run needs, at least for me, is the runner has to have a little riz.
Yeah.
Because like there are two types of runners when they are like sitting there and actually explaining their process. And one is the very like calculated, knowledgeable runner. But they just like when they talk, it kind of just slides off your brain like rainwater. You're like, okay. But then there's some runners who are just, they're also born entertainers. And so they're talking and you're like, even if you weren't doing this, I'd be compelled just by listening to you. I just
Absolutely.
want to hear your thoughts on things. And those are great runs, because then you're just like, yeah, I'm just gonna
I mean,
listen.
it's like the key to a good Evo set is a really, really good announcer. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I feel also.
Yeah, and also,
Um,
I mean, a good couch can make up for this too, because a lot of like GDQ will have commentators, people on the couch who are providing additional insight. And so sometimes it's just like, hey, this is a fun podcast, and also somebody happens to be speedrunning.
yeah,
Yeah,
basically, yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I think that's the end of the mailbag, but there's one
no, it
thing
isn't. There's one
there's
more.
not? There's one more? Oh my god,
Yeah,
fuck, I'm sorry.
from Lexi. Favorite GDQ run that was not necessarily a speed run, like the 70-player Mario 64 relay. I got an
Okay,
easy
I
one
am
for
not
this.
a GDQ watcher, so please, Nathan,
Yeah.
elucidate me.
Oh, I mean, I think you probably saw this one though. It was last year, I believe, the Crazy Taxi run with an actual band
Oh
playing
my
the
god,
soundtrack.
yes! That was
Yeah,
so cool!
yeah, that shit was good as hell. Yeah, I wish I could have been there live for that. There was a mosh pit to a speed run.
That is
That is something that will
incredible.
not soon be replicated.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean,
Ska is
either
back.
that,
Ska is real. Ska is your
yes,
friend.
either that, or, and this was still technically a speed run. And in fact, they I think got a world record. But Peanut Butter, the dog.
Oh my
Um,
god! Peanut
yeah,
Butter the dog. I
yeah.
forgot about Peanut Butter the dog.
Yeah, friend of
That's really cool.
friend of the site, friend of Aftermath,
Friend of
Peanut Butter
all
the dog.
humans and also friend of Aftermath. Yeah.
Yeah. All right,
Okay.
that's the end of
That
the
is the
mailbag. You
end.
are bringing something up. Do it.
Okay, so this week Nathan posted our subscriber goals for 2026,
Oh yeah, I did do
and
that.
I want to say on the podcast we have officially hit the first goal, which is a third somehow even bigger mug. We will be
Yeah,
putting that up on the merch store today,
a third
essentially.
somehow even bigger mug has hit the towers.
You weren't gonna get us TOS. It's not gonna be me in my shirt with a swear on it.
That's fine. I've
God.
lived a long, good online life. But yeah, and also, so to reiterate, yes, we have our new subscriber goals for the year up. You can go check those out on the site. There's a big button for them, and yeah, we just via subscriptions hope to accomplish a number of fun things in this year. One of my favorites that I think people have been asking for, and that I just decided to put on the goals because I have the power to do this, is the idea of like an aftermath zine
Oh
that
yeah.
bundles together our favorite stories of the year in physical form.
That's our
That's at the 6,000 tier.
6,000 subscriber tier,
Yeah,
which
we
is
are. I
we
need
are
to up
at we are
5,250,
we are
right?
basically right at 500 2000 blah, 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 what you just said, the number you just said.
5,250. Yeah.
Yes.
Also, I hate to keep dangling this carrot in front of people, but we do need time and resources. You Are Air, the return is on there. It's at 5,500. I would like to get back to it, but I am a single person, and so that would go toward, I think, maybe alleviating some of my workload somehow. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff on here. I also really had a great time with the, let's say, less attainable, less achievable goals.
Oh yeah, of
For
course.
example, at 150,000 subscribers, which we'll hit one day, or our children will, we'll force the owners of Polymarket and Kalshi to duke it out in the UFC octagon. I think
Yep.
that'd be great.
200,000 subscribers, we will announce the woke century.
Yeah, Woke Week gets expanded a little bit. And then 300,000, we will dedicate our lives to buying every horrible jacket NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang covets before he can. So,
God, he has the worst fucking fashion taste. A long, long, long time ago, before the era of Melissa Mercanti going to things and being stylish, I wanted to go to like GDC or E3 and be like a red carpet reporter and just be like,
uh,
"What are you wearing?" and make people tell me what they were
yeah,
wearing. And
they'll
it's
be like
so frequently
Vans,
just Vans, cargo
jeans.
shorts, Triforce t-shirt. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that's what the last guy wore.
It's crazy. Do you go to the same designer? Like what
It's like,
are
yeah, I do.
But yes, with all this in mind, again, I want to reiterate, we are currently having a sale on subscriptions. You can either get your first month for $1 for monthly, or you can subscribe for a whole year to our member tier, which is the higher one, for just $75, which is a very big discount from what that normally is. It's great. If you don't not already subscribe, you should. That is our lifeblood that supports us. We'd appreciate the hell out of you for doing so. All
Yeah.
that said, I think that is probably the end of our show. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. This is a really fun one for me personally because I'm a big fan of Michael Hobbes. So yeah, thank you for your support. Thank you for reading the site during Woke Week. And yeah, we do this every Thursday at 4 p.m. ET live on Twitch, and we will be back next week in a decidedly less woke week, but I think it'll still be a little woke. All right.
No, we're going
Until then.
anti-woke next week. Sorry.
Yes, next week is anti-woke week. Next week we're gonna pivot to a far right grift. You heard
Yeah.
it here first. All right. Thank you everyone for listening, and have a good one.